Parlays and player props for Week 10 in the NFL this season. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot. And man, we killed it last week. We went 9-5 overall, 6-1 on player props, including a 4-0 sweep in this video alone that goes live every Saturday night. Now, look, we already are off to a 1-0 streak in player props where we cashed Lamar Jackson's under and rushing yards on Thursday Night Football. Now, last week, like I said, we went 6-1 on player props, 4-0 in this video. Our Moneyline Parlay, which we will have at the end of the video, yeah, that was an L. But I'd argue if you cashed a Moneyline Parlay last weekend, you're probably a psychopath with all those upsets. But either way, we're going to get back after it. Subscribe if you guys are new. We're almost at 13,000 subscribers. We want to try to hit that this weekend. We can't do it without you guys' support. Like 60% of you that watch the videos aren't subscribed, so make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Click that like button too. And also comment your best bet for this weekend. Now, we also have a Week 10 full best bets video with spreads, over-unders, teasers, all that stuff. Also live on the channel already. That goes live on Thursdays. It is linked down below and at the end of the video. Last note, follow us on Twitter and all our social medias down below at Calling Our Shot. We're almost at 5,000 followers on Twitter, and maybe we'll add an extra play as the day goes on. We'll see as injuries come in and out. Now let's begin it with the player props, then we'll go to the Moneyline Parlay, and we're starting with a New York Jet. We're going with Michael Carter, over 27.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on FanDuel. Now, this is playable up to 35 in case the line changes, because last week we cashed this. I believe he had 37-ish receiving yards. We had over 34.5, and it was not exactly the game script we expected. We banked on Mike White starting, and Mike White obviously got injured after the first series, did not return. Josh Johnson is not the king of dump-offs. That is Mike White, and that's why we're back. Mike White will be starting today, and they'll be taking on a better defense in the Bills than they have been playing, but I think that will play into our favor. Now, in the two games Michael Carter has played with Mike White, he's had 9 targets, 8 receptions, 67 yards, and 14 targets, 9 receptions, and 95 yards. Now, like I said, I understand the Bills' defense is better than what the Jets have been seeing, but that should funnel even more targets to Carter, as the Bills' defensive backs are much better than what the Jets have faced recently, and we should see a lot more dump-offs. That's what Mike White is known to do. The wide receivers have a tougher time getting open. I think Mike White will just be running. I mean, you know the Jets. They want to get Michael Carter the ball, not Mike White. They want to get Michael Carter the ball, and I think that will start with a bunch of screenplays, some dump-offs, and you name it. Also, Jets are 12.5, 13-point underdogs this game. Now, we saw what happened last week for the Bills when they faced the Jaguars, so anything's possible in the NFL, but either way, game script could be in our favor. I'll still take it. Michael Carter, over 27.5 receiving yards. Now, moving on to another running back / wide receiver, Cordarrelle Patterson. We're taking his over 89.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Now, if you don't have the rushing plus receiving, I'd probably go with just the receiving yards, but at some point, the Falcons just got to say, Mike Davis, get to the boot, hit the curb, my friend, because this man has been struggling running the ball, and it's not necessarily his fault. The Falcons' kind of offensive line doesn't really block for him, but Patterson continues to be a beast out of the backfield, and he did it with all receiving yards last week, as he only had 10 rushing yards, but 126 receiving yards and a big catch down the sidelines to really win that game. Now, this week, I think he's a little bit more balanced. They will still be without Calvin Ridley, so they still need to find playmakers to make plays, and Cordarrelle Patterson's been doing it all year. Here's his combined rushing and receiving yards over the last 6 games. 136 last week, then 72, 61, 114, 116, 102. Cashed this easily in 4 of 6 games. This week, take on the Cowboys defense that has not looked all that great. They just got absolutely abused by the Broncos rushing attack led by Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, both of them hitting this over pretty easily. Now they take on a Falcons team that are on a revenge game against Dan Quinn, the Cowboys defensive coordinator, and we're going to ride with Cordarrelle Patterson over in rushing and receiving yards and locking it in. Now moving on to another running back. We got a lot of running backs today. Maybe I'll look at some more quarterback props. Did not have a lot at the moment, but maybe I'll add one on Twitter at Calling Our Shot. But Christian McCaffrey, we're taking your over 39.5 receiving yards, minus 115 on DraftKings. Now, last week, only playing 49% of the snaps, still managed 54 receiving yards. He killed it. And he, like I said, he didn't play a lot of snaps. That was Sam Darnold out there with limp shoulder and all. Now today, P.J. Walker should be starting. If it's Cam Newton, who cares? Even better, they have a better connection than P.J. Walker. But CMC, arguably the best receiving running back in the NFL, and they're going to run plays for him and get him the ball in space. That's what he's good at, and like I said, he's going to play more than 49% of the snaps today. Pretty much guarantee that. In a game, the Panthers are 10.5-point underdogs to the Cardinals on the road. Game script could be in our favor this weekend, and like I said, the Cardinals could be playing weak coverage, and we could see a lot of dump offs to CMC. Either way, in the games that CMC has played and finished, which is a question mark these days. He's had 54, 65, 89, and 82 receiving yards. I love him today. I think he gets back on track in a big way, and the Panthers will force feed him the ball. Now, the last play before we get into the Moneyline Parlay, we're going with Alvin Cook, and we're taking his over 89.5 rushing yards, minus 114. Now, we're on a lot of running backs today, and that's normally not by design. Normally, we're on more quarterback pass attempts and completions props, but the Chargers, you guys have the worst rushing defense in the NFL. And if there were 30, I honestly want to put you guys at 33rd for how bad you guys are. And there's only 32 NFL teams. Now, the Houston Texans currently rank second worst in the NFL in rushing yards, allowing 136.9 a game. And the Chargers, they're allowing 161. That's not a typo. 161.6 rushing yards per game. Almost 25 more rushing yards than any other team in the NFL. Now, that's a gigantic gap, and that's why I said I'd put a whole mystery team above them, because that's how bad they've been. Now, Alvin Cook, one of the best pure runners in the NFL. And here's a guy that could almost hit this over in one play. This guy could take it 75, 80, 90 yards to the house. This guy's got elite speed. Cook has had over 110 rushing yards in 3 straight road games. They look to establish the run on the road. They are on the road today in LA, taking on the Chargers. And I think you should see, I believe that his over-under for rushing attempts is around 18.5, 19.5. I think you should see anywhere from 18 to 25 carries today. Should be a high-scoring game, and they'll be force-feeding Alvin Cook the ball. So I'm going to ride with him again. Like I said, this is the worst rushing defense in the NFL, not NBA, although we do have NBA daily videos, so check out those. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. The rushing defense, even though they know teams, they're so bad, they know teams are going to run it, they still can't stop it. So I'm still going to ride with it, and I'll take Alvin Cook's over 89.5 rushing yards. Need I say more? Now, I understand you have the legal issue, which is a weird story in itself. I won't talk about it much because I don't know all the details, but not concerned about that holding them back today. And if it does, he probably won't even play. So we'll take Alvin Cook's over in rushing yards. Now, Moneyline Parlay time. We only got 2 legs. And I want to limit it because the more legs you introduce into a Moneyline Parlay, more chance of an L. We're doing Broncos and Browns. 2 legs plus 280. Now the Browns. We're starting with you guys. You're underdogs. You're in for Foxborough. I understand it's a tough place to play. Tough place to win, but I think they got a chance to do this outright against the Patriots, who I think are a little bit overhyped, a little bit overrated at the moment. Now, most NFL games are won in the trenches. Now, what I mean by that, you got to have an offensive and a defensive line, and that's how you decide majority of games. And I would argue the Browns have the better offensive and defensive line over the Patriots. Now, I know Bill Belichick, one of the best guys that can craft a defensive scheme. I understand he can do something to confuse Baker Mayfield, but Baker doesn't have to throw it. They can just run it nonstop. Now, I know Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, both out, but Dearness Johnson's going to step right in, and he showed out in his one start this year with, I believe, 140 total yards. He's a beast. Now, I think the Browns also on the defensive side, they can make Mac Jones, and they can get up in his face with Myles Garrett and their defensive line creating pressure. And Browns, pretty good rush defense too. One of the top 10 in the NFL. I think they can stop the Patriots' rushing attack. I do not know if Damian Harris will play today, the number 1 running back on that Patriots depth chart, and that could hurt them in a big way, more so than you might really think. Now, the second leg, the Broncos, yeah, they're slight favorites over the Eagles, and I'd argue this is kind of a trap spot for the Broncos. You're coming off a big win over the Cowboys, absolutely dismantled them. I think 32-16, but that game was not as close as 32-16. Might indicate that was a beatdown. Now, this could be a letdown spot, but I just personally don't have much faith in the Eagles' offense or really even their defense to get it done. Now, Jalen Hurts, I supported him early in the season. Just hasn't been great throwing the ball recently, and the Broncos defense just stifled Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, like I said. I'll ride with the Broncos in this one. I think the rushing attack finally kind of getting going. I believe they have their bye week coming up, I believe next week, so they want to go into the bye with a win, and I think they'll come out and show out. They're in Mile High Stadium, so you never know about that altitude, how it plays into the Eagles. So I'll be riding with the Broncos. I think they got a good chance today. So I'll do Broncos and Browns plus 280, 2 legs. You can add more legs, but truthfully, I don't want to lose to the Panthers upsetting the Cardinals. Call my shot, whatever. So that's what we're riding with today. Like I said, best bets NFL video with my best bets and spreads, over-unders, teasers, and one more player prop is on the screen. Check out those videos. We appreciate you guys. Let's ride. Let's make some money today in week 10. We've been doing it all year. No reason we can't do it again this week. So I'll catch you guys later in the next one. It's been Austin, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.